are listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. Hey, thanks for tuning in for another episode. Actually, before we dive into today's subject, I would like to say a proper thank you to you. Guess what I found out the other day? I read a newsletter from a podcaster that at the very bottom in like the PS, it said something like, hey, we've almost reached our milestone of 1,300 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider it and help us reach this milestone. And I thought, how does a podcaster know how many subscribers they have? How do you know that? I didn't know that was a thing. So I Googled, how do you know how many subscribers your podcast has? And boy, was I surprised about that answer. And I should not have been, because it wasn't that long ago when I was talking with a fellow podcaster about their podcast. And she said something like, I think she was feeling a little discouraged because she didn't have a lot of downloads. And I told her I didn't get that many either. I told her how many mine were on average. You know, last time I looked, it had been a while, but it wasn't that many either. And I wasn't sharing it to try to impress. I was sharing it to make her feel better. Like, I don't get very many either. It doesn't get me down. I still like doing it. She probably knew more than I did. So after reading this newsletter the other day with the PS about, hey, we almost have 1,300 subscribers, and it made me wonder, if you could tell how many subscribers you have, how do you do that? So I Googled it. Long story short, after reading a couple articles, and it is not an exact science, but it appears that y'all have put LOA Recon in either, depending which measure you go by, either the top like 8% or the top 15% of podcasts. Come on. I think that's pretty cool. So I wanted to say a detailed thank you for listening to LOA Recon. Okay, so here's what I wanted to share about today. I was thinking about this the other day, about how if of all the things that I create, all of the blog posts, the podcast episodes, the newsletters, the calls I host at Good Vibe University, the courses I create, the coach sessions I conduct, of everything that I do, if you only remembered 3 things of everything that I share about, that I talk about, that I promote, I would want it to be these 3 things that stick with you. And I want to say, these are the things that I not only find myself coaching clients on regularly, but also what I need to remind my own self of pretty often too. So yeah, I just thought it'd be helpful to be really clear what these 3 things are that I would love for us all to take away from everything that I'm sharing in my work. Okay, these are the 3 things I think make the big difference for us in our manifesting game. Here's the first one. That is to start with what it feels like to have what you want. Or another way of saying that is begin with the end in mind. You know, it's pretty typical for most people, I'm not saying conscious creators, most people and sometimes even conscious creators, to start with action. When there's something that we discover we want, we start figuring out how to get it or making it happen or hiring it done or something like that. Instead of starting with, like right out of the gate, let's begin with, what does it feel like to have that? That is magic when we start there. In fact, that's the key of one of the keys of Abraham's work. Wouldn't you agree that we hear from them regularly? Alignment, and then like get aligned first, and then everything else is going to go so much better. And when they say that, they just mean become the frequency of your desire. Manage your vibration in such a way that you're in the vibrational neighborhood of what you want. And an easy way for us to do that is to just practice having what we want. What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? However you can plug in. Practice with that end result in mind. That's vibrational alignment. That's where our power lies. That's worth remembering. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you know exactly what it feels like to have what you want. It isn't that you've got to visualize regularly the dream come true, although why wouldn't you? But it could be as simple as just finding ways to feel better right here, right now. That might seem totally unrelated. Someone texted me the other day. Something was up. It wasn't coming together. She really wanted it to. And then she cuddled with her kitty. She cuddled with her kitty, and that's when the good news came. Don't you love that? Finding a way to feel better first. I hope you remember that. Of all the work that I shared, this one feels like it's a game changer. This will make a big difference in your conscious creation practice. You'd be surprised how many times I ask new clients, keep in mind, I work exclusively with conscious creators. It's very rare for me to be teaching law of attraction to someone new. Muggles don't hire me. That's what I'm saying. They might not recognize, they might not identify as a conscious creator, but I'm not explaining this stuff to anyone. They already know law of attraction is a thing. They've been studying it for years. I'm usually working with very savvy creators, conscious creators. And when I ask them, okay, so tell me about your alignment practice so far, would you be surprised to hear how often they're a blank for it? Probably shouldn't be, because if they already had an alignment practice, they probably wouldn't be hiring a coach because they'd already be making great progress, right? Look, I do it too sometimes. I do it too. Let's just remember to start out with what it feels like to have what we want. Okay, that was the first one. Here's this. Oh, wait, I was going to say how I practiced it. That's right. So, I cracked myself up. You might think this is a ridiculous way to practice it, but I do it because I've been on dog walks that didn't go well. So many times, not every time, but many times when we go on a dog walk, especially if like there are a bunch of cars in the trailhead parking lot, or it's the weekend, or it seems like, if it's getting dark and I got to make sure everyone sticks together because I don't want to be hollering at anyone after dark. Okay, if I start to get sideways of myself and thinking, I hope we don't run into too many people, that's when I just practice what I want in advance. I practice the satisfaction and the delight of having had a pleasant outing. I imagine if we meet any people or any other dogs, that it was nothing but enjoyable. It was a delight to run into them. And if we don't see a single soul on the trail, that's good too. We all had an amazing time together, the dogs and I. It was a lovely outing in nature. I just practice that satisfaction of we had a great walk. And that smooths out a lot of things that otherwise, because I've had the walks where I didn't do that. So just even on little things like that, and you'd think you wouldn't have to prepay for a good dog walk. Well, yeah, I do. Okay. I also practice it in other ways, though, like when I'm sending out a newsletter or when I'm publishing something new on the website, I just practice what I want this to be. A lot of times I set it out with the intention. I say, go be love. That's my instruction to whatever I'm sending out. Go be love. But I practice fellow creators feeling the value of it or appreciating the input, or that they find it helpful, that it resonates in some way, it inspires them somehow. That this work, that my work, raises their consciousness and helps them become more effective manifestors and enjoyers of life. I just practice that. So it doesn't go out without that instruction. It goes out with that vibration. We could practice this all over the place. Wherever it matters to you, start with what it feels like to have what you want. Okay, here's the second thing I would love for us all to remember from my work. That's to trust your guidance. It's to know that inspired action is the way to go. We don't have to try to analyze or strategize or figure it out ourselves, because our inner being or our inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it, higher self, higher mind, it's got a bunch of different names, but there is a connected place within you that knows. It knows how to get what you want. It knows the best way there. And it's speaking to us. I hope this sounds familiar to all of you, because if you've been listening to me for a while, you've heard me say this many times. That's why I do repeat it, because this one matters too. We have that inner wisdom that is pointing directly the way to dreams come true. And it does that via what feels good. It's our inspiration. It's our joy. It's our excitement. It's the term Bashar uses for it. It's what feels better. That's our inner being or inner guidance saying, this way do dreams come true. It knows the best way there. And you know what? The best way there isn't necessarily the fastest way. Often it is, but not always. Sometimes it works in some extra ingredients along the way that you didn't know were going to be helpful. So sometimes it might feel like, kind of a meandering path, but it is always the best one. It's a path you can trust. So that means trust whatever feels better. Trust whatever feels better, even when it doesn't make sense. If you're aligned, which you are, because if you were practicing the first one, right? You're practicing what it feels like to have what you want, and you get an inspiration to do whatever it might be, you can trust that. A lot of times it isn't logical or rational or approved by others in your life. Maybe even your own gremlins are going to kick up some dust over it. But you want to get in the habit of trusting that inspiration. Like, I'm thinking about sometimes when it doesn't feel like a direct path. Oh, I got one. Yeah, hello, buying this house. I made an offer on at least one other house. Oh, I believe it was 2 houses, or I was getting ready. I made it. There were 3 houses I was looking at long and hard, and I made an offer on at least one of them, and none of them were my house. And, you could say, well, okay, that was the meandering path for sure. But you know what was happening all along the way? I was picking up more intel about what I wanted. My desires were getting stronger. They were getting more clear. They were getting bigger. So guidance did not fail me when I made that offer on the place in Harriman Canyon, or when I was threatening to make an offer in Cache Valley. No, I didn't go straight from where I was living before to this house. There was a lot of vibrational upgrades that were happening along the way in looking at other things and believing bigger what was possible for me. Not to mention desire just getting stronger the whole way through. That extra desire might have been why this came together as well as it did. Because you know what? It probably shouldn't have. It probably shouldn't have. How cool is that? Okay, all I'm saying there is you can trust your guidance. All right, the third thing I would love you to take away from my work is an ability to release attachment to results. We can't let our happiness depend on getting whatever it is we want to create. We've got to know how to enjoy the meantime. We've got to know that life is already good and there's already plenty to celebrate. And when we do that, it actually makes us great vibrational matches to our other big dreams come true. So you want to be able to be okay either way, whether it happens or it doesn't. I don't want your well-being to depend on X, Y, or Z happening. If it takes a while, or if it happens fast or ever, let that be sort of inconsequential, or at least icing on the cake. Like, know how to already enjoy life. I believe all of us are already in a position where we can do that if we choose to. Just saying, you want to get good and grounded in good vibrations, regardless of what does or doesn't happen in your world. Because if you're hanging on tightly to that desire, if you're constricted about it vibrationally, like, oh, I got to have it, you're holding up your own progress. So just remind yourself, you don't need this thing in order to relax or enjoy or feel better now. You can be happy now, already, first, before anything else changes. Life is already amazing. And if you can't see that now, you won't be able to see it ever, because that isn't something that happens outside of us. That's something that happens within. So when we lighten up about it, that actually, it lets things come together better. So, yeah, don't require something to happen in order to feel better. Go ahead and let go of any attachment. I practice this by reminding myself that I'm not dependent on X, Y, or Z to happen in order to feel good, because that's putting someone else in charge of my well-being, and I know way too much to go that routine. No one else is in charge of how I feel except me. They can't make me feel anything. If I'm sad, that's on no one but me. If I'm happy, that's my doing too. It isn't because of this, that, or the other. It's because I said so, or because I chose so. You can choose so too. I believe any of us can, no matter what our circumstances are. So, if there were just 3 things you took away from whatever time you spend listening to me or reading my work, it would be, number 1, start by feeling what you want first. Whether that's just feeling better in general or practicing what it feels like to have what you want. Start with that end in mind. Number 2, trust guidance to point the way there. Your inner being knows. It knows the best way there, and it speaks to you via your inspiration, whatever feels better, whatever your excitement is. Number 3, don't require results before you celebrate and enjoy the way there. Okay, if I were going to add a 4th one, though, it would be that it's okay. Whatever seems wrong, whatever you're judging yourself for, whatever's troubling you, it's okay. It's okay to feel however you feel. It's okay whatever's happening, even when it's contrast. You know what? It's okay even then. I know it doesn't feel like it, but yes, even then, even when you can't see it yet. I had, I was coming home from, I had a little reminder of this yesterday. On the way back from a meeting, it was another community meeting. Actually, it was good news. You know, the proposed development, they've dramatically reduced what they were proposing. So it's already good news. But sitting at this meeting, it was kind of easy. I was sitting next to neighbors who were kind of grumbly, and I'm not going to blame it on them. It was easy for me to feel kind of riled up, a little bit discouraged, little unheard. It was not fabulous feelings. I actually left the meeting early because I realized I'm not helping. This isn't helping. I am not feeling super fabulous right now. So this is not going to take you anywhere you want to go. So I left, and on the way home, as I was feeling a little about it, the radio played a song for me. It was a country song. I don't know who it was. I probably should. But the lyrics went something like, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right. And I remember, of course, as soon as I heard that, I was like, of course, I know that. It's okay. It's okay. You know who else is really good at that message? Abraham has, someone shared a video clip at Good Vibe University in the forums, but I'd heard it on one of their CDs where I can't remember what the person in the hot seat was talking about, but Abraham's answer was, I'm getting emotional. Abraham's answer was, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. They repeated it multiple times. Oh, I could just feel it. It's all right. It's really all right. And I know that is sometimes I forget briefly, but of course it's okay because I'm not dependent on things happening, and it's already okay. And you know what? I got home and my guy was feeding the cats, and I said, I'm going to take the dogs for a quick walk while we still have some daylight. And I was walking the dogs in paradise. I mean, we didn't even drive anywhere. We're just out my back door. And I was like, how? I would have some nerve to be upset about things when life is already so good. I firmly believe that is true for all of us. And our willingness to consider that, or our willingness to choose that, is what makes it so. That's what dictates our experience. It's our focus. And you've got lots of practice through everything that I share in how to be more flexible and more deliberate in what you choose to focus on. All right. I hope you got some inspiration from this. Thank you for listening, everyone, and happy manifesting.